Hey guys, Anthony Rosbottom here. Today I want to talk about the subject of should you be a generalist or should you be a specialist? I'm talking about commercial art here really, be that video game production or film VFX, high-end TV, advertising, architectural, design, products, marketing, product visualization, that sort of thing. Anything you get paid to use your visual artistic skills. A bit of a background history on myself. I started in the video game industry in 1989 and back then the artists did everything. They did the title page, they did the UI graphics, they did the fonts, they did the character graphics, they did the background graphics. You know, you mapped out, you made the level graphics as well. You did everything. So when I started out, it was not only fine to be a generalist, it was really, really important, you know. So I suppose like one of my main mistakes was just keeping in that mode of operation. And then about sort of the early 90s, when we got onto the 16-bit video game era, then like development timeframes got tighter, and we started having to create more content in a shorter amount of time. So yeah, in the early 90s in the video game development industry, you would have a couple of artists on a project, you know, 2, 3, 4. You had two specializations really. You had someone doing the character sprites and all the animation associated with that, but also someone doing the background graphics. And I was better at background graphics, you know, my anatomy was not good. So I fell into being a background artist for video games, while other artists fell into characters. And a few years after that, you might even get specialist artists doing the title pages. But then, as the video game industry got larger and games got larger in scope, you know, you had to employ tens or hundreds of people, you know. So commercial art got bigger, and people got more specialised, which is great. So yeah, the subject of this video is why you shouldn't be a generalist in 2024 and beyond, really. And it's a cautionary tale, like I say in the title. When you're a generalist, you can apply for all the jobs, all the art jobs. That's true, but you're not going to have a targeted, focused portfolio or showreel that shows you can do what you're claiming you can do. So you'll end up getting beaten in the job market by specialists. If you go to be a motion graphics animator and you can do a little bit of motion graphics, but you're a generalist, then a specialist motion graphics animator, is going to beat you 9 times out of 10, unless you're sort of Leonardo da Vinci of motion graphics, or a Leonardo da Vinci of being a generalist. But that's rare, and it's very hard to market yourself. Like, as of the time of recording, the video game industry is going through a bad time. There's a lot of companies laying staff off. There's a lot of companies just going down, you know, just folding. So the job market, as of time of recording, is very frantic, with hundreds of applicants leaping onto every job position. And yeah, it doesn't, in this day and age, it just doesn't serve you well to be a generalist, as I'm finding out to my own cost. Another disadvantage of being a generalist is your portfolio is just erratic and shows different work in different sectors, different styles. You know, it's just like it puts off potential employers or clients, it just puts them off straight away when they start watching your show reel or browsing your portfolio, and there's content in your portfolio or show reel that doesn't apply to them or doesn't apply to the need they're trying to fill. So yeah, I'd say if you're early on in your career, but you're finding you're enjoying being a generalist, and listen, I enjoy being a generalist, like in the day to day, because I enjoy just being airdropped in, solving whatever problem presents itself on the day, whatever art challenge. And yeah, I do get a certain satisfaction from being able to handle most things that come across my plate. So if you're early on in your career and you're adamant about being a generalist, I would say still choose. Don't be a specialist in one subject or skill, but sort of cluster. If you enjoy modelling, for example, then maybe get good at modelling, but then get good at UV mapping, then get good at shading. Like try and get good at the stages before and after what you enjoy doing. Have a cluster of 3 or 4 skills that you're pretty good at. So like I say, with modelling, like before modelling is concept art, concept design. So maybe get pretty good at that. And then after that, there's the UVing, laying out the UVs. And then there's, texturing, like finding the textures, getting good at texture painting. And you'll find, like set a flag in the ground somewhere in your jobs sort of spec. So if you're a 3D graphic artist, then maybe put a flag into modelling, but then spread outwards from that. Or if you're a motion graphics artist using Houdini, get into the simulations and particle effects and fire and smoke and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's hard, like because what's going to happen is when you do specialize, you're going to be looking at the job pages and the LinkedIn or your career pages of your favorite companies, and you're going to be panicking because you're not going to see your specialization being advertised. But from my experience, it's better to hold out. And like I say, I think the specialist can do the same strategy of just having a cluster. So you have your specialization, but then just get good at the things immediately before and after whatever you're specialized in. Get good at those, to a good standard. And then you can maybe, when I say you're a vehicle modeler, you're specializing in modeling vehicles, then maybe you don't, at the time of looking, you don't see any jobs for vehicle 3D modelers, but maybe you see a job for environment props or weapons props. You can sort of go for jobs that are not vehicles but close enough, and you should have a chance. Because I'll let you on a little secret. When I was earlier in my career, I was in charge of like hiring other artists, and those very tightly defined job adverts, you must have 5 years experience in this, and you must have modelled vehicles as an example. You must have modelled this type of object in free AAA games, whatever. Recruiters are looking for unicorns. That's their wish list. Like if someone comes across and applies that fulfills all of those criteria, then they're over the moon. Like, they knock off early for the day, go down the pub, whatever, celebrate. But it's very rare. So I'd say if you're looking at a job advert and you're filling 70 to 75% of the criteria, I say absolutely go for it. You can always fight your case in a cover letter, which another thing I encourage is people to have make a custom cover letter for each application. Don't just leave that section blank on the form. You know, address the company by their name and try and explain what you'd think you would be able to provide them that no one else can. And in the cover letter or in a short introductory email, that's where you say, you know, yes, you're looking for weapons artists for this first person shooter, but I model cars for driving games. But then you say, you know, but I'm willing to do an art test, or here's some weapons I've modelled in my spare time, or here's some military vehicles with, you know, here's a couple of tanks. Just try and steer them to look at bits of your portfolio that are more relevant to them. Okay, I think I'm done now. Like, basically, don't be a generalist. Honestly, it hasn't worked out for me. It really hasn't. It worked out for me at the start, and then as time went on, I'm the typical boiling frog. I didn't realise at the start of my career that the tide was ever so slowly turning against being a generalist. You know, every year it paid to be a specialist more and more, but only by slight increments. So it didn't occur to me until way too late in my career that I should have specialised. So don't let that happen to you. Don't be a generalist. If you disagree, comment below. You know, let's talk it out. Okay, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. All right, bye bye.